Return to Glory podcast. Hunters Arbenigge, Austin Rose, Dakota Freetag. It's almost Halloween. Nebraska decided not to scare us this week and play well against Ohio State, which I'm not sure how we did or why we did.
It was great.
But it's a good thing. Did not come out with a win, but kept it close, had the chances to win the game on the road on Saturday. And here we are Monday evening recording the recap pod. The only word that I can really come up with to describe my emotions, last week it was the 20 words of obliterated, annihilated. This week it's confused. And it's the word I keep hearing over and over and over. I don't know what any of this means. It's just hard to pinpoint. And not just our game, but then, your Oregon-Illinois game, the way that went out. And then you look at the rest of college football, it just continues to confuse you week after week, some of these results. But it makes it that much better to stay engaged with, I think, the bottom line.
Sorry, messing with my background. Yeah, no, I agree. It was... I actually that's probably the best time I've had watching us lose a football game. I'm trying to think of another time where I'm watching us lose and I was like, wow, I am just blown away by how well that game went.
Yeah, at least they didn't come out and lay an egg, and you got to look back on the Indiana game and think that they just probably gave up on it. Or maybe Indiana's just that good. I don't know. But at least your defense showed up this game. That's the main part of it. That was the main takeaway. Your defense looked good again.
I honestly would suspect that if we don't get beat by Indiana the way we got beat by Indiana last week, we don't look as good against Ohio State this last week.
Yeah, that's what's weird is you can look at it in a game-to-game basis. You can look at it, combining the Indiana game and this game. You can look at it longer than that too. It's so hard to get opinions and thoughts and wrap your head around everything that's went on the past 2 weeks specifically. I mean, you mentioned the defense. I guess it looked better, and it did, obviously, but it just makes it that much more puzzling. Why did last week happen the way it did? And we looked like everything Indiana wanted to do was working, and it did. So not here to talk about Indiana a whole lot, but the Ohio State game itself, you got back to your mind of being at ease with where the direction I think is headed. The biggest thing that I wrote down in my thoughts, I just kept going back to, and I tried to rationalize everything that's going on with Nebraska football is, and Rule said the word. I don't know if it was today or if it was on Saturday after the game, but he used the word sustainability. And the other word I would say is consistency, right? Like one game, while I think everybody tries to say, what does this mean? I think it's harder to do that today in college football. And I mean, look at the NFL even this year. And then specifically with Nebraska, it's harder to look at it and say, well, this team's really, really good. This team's not very good. Because any given week, we've seen results that just make zero sense with the traditional way of thinking. So like sustainability is what we want to see, right? Week after week. And when you have a game like Indiana, you just start to go, that is not what we wanted to happen, to be consistent, to be going and improving week after week. But then you play Ohio State, Ohio State, Indiana plays tomorrow on a neutral site field or even at Indiana. Ohio State's going to be favored in that game. I don't know by how much, but they're going to be the favorite to win.
Yeah.
So it's just hard to pinpoint exactly what this means for the season so far, but then especially here as we finish out our last 4 games.
I agree. I mean, that's why he loved, like, Matt Rule loves Kirk Ferentz. Any moment he can get to be like, man, if we could just beat Iowa, that would be great. And I mean, that's what Iowa does, is they don't get destroyed. and they come out and they win 8 games every year, and occasionally they'll have a year where they'll go off and be 11-1, lose to Ohio State, and play in a big bowl game. And that's realistically, I mean, if you can do that as a program with the transfer portal and NIL, I think that would be a successful program.
At least it gives you hope now towards the end of the year.
Yes.
You're not anywhere near as worried about making a bowl game now. You should.
Still worried, but you just feel better. I mean, if you go out and you get destroyed by Indiana, then you get pulverized by Ohio State, you don't feel good about the direction. You know, you're not ending on a high note. You're kind of you feel like you're spiraling, and I thought that's what was going to happen, and maybe those expectations. I thought we were going to get obliterated. That's why we didn't give our score predictions last week. We just were like, man, I give a 27-point spread, a score prediction. But like I said, that was the most fun I've had watching us lose a game in a while.
Now take what they said about a bowl game and talk to me if they lose to UCLA.
I don't want to talk too much about the UCLA. That we'll talk about that on Wednesday, because I do think it makes this week's game, I don't know, I guess another one of the most important games, because you think that UCLA is potentially the most winnable game of the last 4, but they're all winnable. And I kind of said that after Indiana too. It just made you question whether we could get to a bowl game. Like you said, I think you feel better, but we're not given a bowl game just because we played it close to with Ohio State. That means nothing.
Right. We still only scored 17 points.
So I don't know. It again, confusing, weird to think about all the thoughts, but it does just make you feel a little better of the direction we're going. Now, I say all that. What I want to do here to start, and I didn't warn you guys with this, we talked on last week how these are the things we need to do to expect to win, right? Dak gave us his list of 8 things that he had to win the game, which is how Coach Rule and the staff needed to get the players to think going into the Ohio State game. That game plan was very close to becoming a win, but it did. And while you want to say, man, everything's almost great because we kept it close with Ohio State, we played with them, we can play with anybody. We still lost another 1-score game. We had several opportunities to win that game. And while you can say, yeah, Ohio State's just better than us, yeah, they have more talent. That's not the question. Where Indiana, maybe, I don't know. Ohio State has more talent, but we had the opportunities to win this game. And I'll say it, we should have won. We should have won the game on different pieces. So not that all of this is the end all be all to why we lost the game, but just some things that stick out. Now, obviously, in between these negative things, there's a ton of positive things, unlike Indiana. The opening kickoff into the first play of the game, into the Buschini punt that got shanked for the first time. Your mind just started going.
Oh, yeah.
How bad is
I think they started on the 36-yard line, Nebraska 36 or 38 or something like that. You just went, oh boy, this season's over. Everything's done. It's fallen apart after Indiana. Then we go out, get the 4th and 1 huge stop. Okay, that revitalized, relifted, and said, okay, no, we're not going to get our butts kicked. I heard someone say that if Ohio State goes down and scores that first drive, goes up 7-0, that the game could have ended like Indiana. I don't know about that, how bad it was, but if it truly is based on the mentality, and it's that, and we're going to talk about that here later, the mentality of the players and your mindset in the game, if that's that big of a thing, which I think it might be bigger than people realize, that could have been what happened to Indiana a little bit too. So that all happens, right? And again, the negative thing, you have a horrible first drive. The defense picks you up, and you basically get to redeem yourself again. Our offense in the first half in general They had some moments, but it just looked once again incompetent. Now, again, justify it with Ohio State defense. Go ahead. But this is what we've seen all year with the offense. It's not been great. And I'm talking about the first half specifically. The play calling, Dak, I know this is something that you just continue to go off on. And I know Saturday was a fun day for you, and you were a walking highlight reel in yourself.
I was just excited.
you were something. I guess talk through how you feel about the play calling and your best friend Marcus Satterfield, or Scott Satterfield, as you like to call him.
Okay, first off, does he still have a job?
Yes.
He shouldn't.
Yeah.
He shouldn't. Okay,
Stop. Explain to me how that would help right now if he doesn't have a job. Tell me walk me through that and how you would get through that right now as a program.
I mean, it's obvious right now he's not going to get any better. Like, why would you not?
Agreed. Okay. If that's your opinion. Okay. So then talk me through how do we fix that by firing him now versus waiting to the end of the year? What does that help?
I mean, it's so you know what he is right now. So this is how you get better. You get a new guy in there, and maybe it gives it different look on offense.
Stop. You can't get a new guy in there right now. We're in the middle of the year. You're not hiring a brand new guy off the streets.
No, but you have somebody that can take over.
Who?
I don't know. Who's your?
That's why we're talking through this. I want you to think through.
The quarterback's coach is technically the co-offensive coordinator. Rob. Oh man, I'm gonna blank on his name. Who's the quarterback's coach that we just hired this summer?
The one that's co-OC with Satterfield.
Yeah, Rob. I keep wanting to say Dillingham, but that's not it.
I'm forgetting his name. Glenn Thomas.
Glenn Thomas. Oh, Rob is the corner's back. Yeah.
Glenn Thomas. Okay. Again, you do that. What does that solve from this year's standpoint?
Oh, I don't know if it solves anything, but I think it could help your offense long term if you just let him go now. Because right now, it's your offense is not getting any better, and I think you already know he's gone, and I don't know if. So say you knew you were gonna get fired at work, how much effort would you give? Not much. So I don't know how much effort he's given either. You put a new guy in there, he will change the offense up. And
when you do that with 4 games left, how much can you change?
Ask the Jets how they're doing after their quarterback change, their coaching change.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard right now to justify.
You can have a little motion.
If things continue now till the end of the year, I think this will be a very serious conversation, if not more than likely. The question is, though, I will say that was first half. Second half, I thought there were some signs of some good things that we shown on offense. I'd say our run game specifically
looks better
than it has. And again, I don't know how much of that is scheme versus just our guys making plays in the same system. Obviously, you're making adjustments as a staff, small tweaks to make things work better. I don't know. I don't think the answer is right now, but it's still not good, right? And so I don't know what the next four games are going to look like, but I don't think that involves changing an offensive coordinator. Once you get too late in the season, I really don't think you can change it. It hasn't been great. It hasn't. And you obviously still have a talented quarterback that there's some things to talk about with Dylan too. So I don't know, Austin, any thoughts on Satterfield? I guess another thing mentioning play calling. I mean, it's kind of funny. People probably saw all the memes of the screens that we just continue to run over and over and over.
Oh my gosh, it was freaking infuriating.
One deep ball.
10 completed screens for 28 yards.
I get the design of them all. Like I'm a big screen guy, but in order for it to work, you have to be able to block it effectively. Because they're not tough throws to make.
Right.
A lot of it is scheming. But if you don't block it correctly, they look just disastrous, and a lot of them did.
I said 10 completed screen passes for 28 yards. You gotta do something. And I think most of those yards came on one run that we actually had one successful screen play. That was my big complaint. I mean, I sent the text message to you guys that then took 4 hours to deliver. So you guys thought I was drunk texting you about screens 2 hours after the game.
But you didn't say something right in either. I just had no idea what you were saying.
Autocorrect got me on a couple words. I was just frustrated watching. It was like the first quarter, we threw like our fourth screen pass. I was like, what the hell are we doing? It was like 3rd and 11, and we threw a screen pass behind the line of scrimmage, and I was over it. But we're not firing Satterfield.
Your wife texted me, these are all the words that came out of Austin's mouth so far, and they were like 4 cuss word type sentences.
Yeah, the very first thing in the game, they said Quentin Ives back to receive the ball, and I said, "What the hell are they doing?" And Maddie's like, "What did you say?" And I said, "What the hell are you doing?" She's like, "About what?" Well, they have that guy, like they have Quentin Ives back there to receive the ball. Why would they put him back there? He's probably just gonna. And then he immediately fumbled the ball, and I was like, "Gotta do that!" Like, oh my gosh. No, Satterfield's not getting fired. I don't think he's done a great job, but it's not helping anything. Dylan Raiola's figuring it out still. Offense looked better in the second half than it did the first half. It kind of looked like we opened it up a little bit, so you kind of feel a little bit better of maybe it was like hey, we need to switch this up, and that was kind of their coming to Jesus moment of, all right, maybe we need to get a little more creative with it.
So Dylan Raiola, he ran the ball, and
he did.
He's not fast, but
he made him think about it.
He did well, but I don't think that's. I mean, I think a little bit of that's him, but I'll give credit to the offensive staff. I think that's the offensive staff finally saying Dylan needs to run the ball for our offense to work, and therefore some of them were designed, but they helped coach him. Hey, you can scramble and you can run, and here's the times to do it. And then Dylan went out and did it. And that was our offense in the first half. Like that was our entire offense. He led us in rushing at halftime. That is the added element that we need to see. I never thought that he couldn't run it. He wasn't physically capable of doing it. It was, we told him we didn't want him to get hurt, so we weren't coaching him that way, which again goes back to why it's a little more disappointing why this hasn't been all year. But I think that gave us another element that Ohio State basically was saying it in that first half. He's not running it. He's never doing it. And then that is what got us first downs and allowed us to move the ball in the first half. So credit there to making that adjustment. And then we did take a couple of shots downfield, which we said we needed to do. Now, I don't think we completed many of them.
Finally.
But we started to at least show the threat of this is what we want. We can do. It opened things up for us, and I think our offense. So yeah, while our offense we still say maybe isn't good, there were signs of adjustments made this game that made you think, okay, if we start to do some of this stuff here the last 4 games, maybe we can score 24 points and maybe win a game without holding teams to under 20. Like that seems like how we have to win right now. In Ohio State got 21. We have to hold teams to under 20 to win these games, which it shouldn't be the case, right? Our offense has to help our defense out when they play a really good game. Indiana, nobody did anything. So I agree. Dylan Raiola ran the ball, looked good. The only question mark I have, and he's still learning, he's still a freshman. We have to keep that in mind. I feel like his zip on his passes is gone for some reason. It just something off on it. You saw him maybe in the spring game and even the first game. He felt like he was just rifling stuff in there. And is that a confidence thing? Is it a not trusting your receivers thing? Is there I heard someone say maybe a potential injury thing, like not major but enough to affect it? I don't know. That's the question mark I have on Raiola right now is his ability just to zip it, which we saw early on and not so much as of late.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the interception, that's kind of how you felt. It just was in the air forever. It wasn't a very good pass. There clearly was something miscommunicated there on the interception that ended the game. But I see what you're saying. I kind of thought it was just more of a because he usually does still put the ball where he needs to, even without the zip. I kind of just thought it was I'm going to lob it up there and give my big receivers time to get this ball or get a PI. I don't know. I agree, though. It doesn't look as quick as it did during the spring game.
At least he finally took what the defense is giving. I mean, if you have all that room to run, you got to take it. Like Ohio State was not even worried about it at all, and he took it. And then in the second half, I feel like they kind of were watching a little bit more, but he finally. I get what you're saying on that zip on it. Like, yeah, deep balls, they do feel like they float in the air forever, like almost like a duck, kind of. But at least they finally threw one, and you know what? Should got PI on it too. That's what I've been saying. Throw it deep.
Yeah, there's that added element, right, of getting pass interference calls, and the really good quarterbacks know where to put the ball. We got a couple of those early on in the year. I think there's signs of life with this offense. It's still not good yet, but it's maybe moving in the right direction. One thing that Rule mentioned, he talked about, if you're going to be a running team, you have to be good on third down. And I think at times we did, but other times it just looked not good again. And some of that comes from your run game. If you can't get at least 4 yards on a couple of those carries, it makes it hard. It puts you in third and long. I thought the second half, the run game opened up. The one play that sticks out that, gosh, you want to have was when Dowdell, our offensive line in that scheme, was great, broke through, didn't get touched for about 11 yards and got tripped up by the one safety. Otherwise, it probably was a touchdown. And you just need a play like that to happen to win a game like that. Like, gosh,
we needed to get that pick. We needed the pick six. We got it to the 5-yard line, but didn't quite get it in.
And guess what? Ohio State, how they scored? They had 3 huge plays.
3 big plays.
So that big play explosiveness is still lacking on offense. And specifically, I will say too, we we've showed the graphic early in the year after the Illinois game on go-ahead drives when the game is tied or one-score game by Nebraska. Again, Ohio State caveat, whatever you want to say, they're good. But once again, that last drive does not end in points. And
it was looking really bad until we got bailed out by a questionable
targeting call. Yes. So that play, interesting in itself. So it's hard because, yes, you want to say, it's Ohio State, but we had the chances to win the game again, and we didn't do it. And if our coaches are trying to get expecting to win in the players' minds, which I think we were pretty good there, but we didn't, we got to think a little bit that way too, of the opportunities were there to win the game. We played well enough. Our defense played more than well enough to win that game against an explosive, what we think is an explosive offense, and we just didn't do it. So,
and I will say, we've gone about 30 minutes and we have not brought up the hero of the game, John Hull.
Not a kicker.
54-yarder.
Where's he been all year?
What the heck? On the road.
Again, confusing. Like, just confusing. I don't understand. And it's not like those were like question, like, no, they just were.
No,
it
was
he drilled them.
Yeah, right through the
down the middle. I mean, the second one especially, to cut it to 14-6, I think was the biggest one. The 54-yarder was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, again, consistency, sustainability in that area of the game. We have to show that we can do that. That's the first time that we were all just like, what was that? Now let's do it. Let's do it week after week. I mean, I'm not saying we have to go like that every week. That was excellent, but be consistent in the kicking game. Like, let's show that we can do it. 1 week is great, but we've lost so many games off of that too. So yeah, you're right. We need to give that a shout out, especially while we're talking about offense, because there were points in that game where it was just like, let's just keep kicking field goals and win 15-14. And like, who would have thought that after our worst unit has been our special team, specifically field goal kicking.
And it was nice to get that field goal after whatever that fiasco was with the refs spotting the ball behind the line of scrimmage and time, whatever. That was a nightmare. But
Before we move on to the refs, Dak, anything on the kicking?
Well, at least you can feel like you trust it a little bit, but like you said, that was only one game out of how many you got? 8.
Bushini still had a rough.
Yeah, your punting was pretty bad.
Rough game.
That shank after that, yeah, I definitely thought, well, this is gonna go exactly like Indiana game here. So yeah, you finally get your field kicking to work, and then your punting goes to shit. So I don't know. You can't just win them all, I guess.
The Big Ten released a statement today on specifically the first down, Emmett Johnson's first down that was over by like a yard and a half, and then they called it short. Clock ran. We didn't get the clock stopped. And I think right after that, maybe there was that offensive pass interference that they called on
Banks,
or that was also like, that was also bad. Here's the thing with those two calls. Like, yes, I don't think they were probably the right call. We actually didn't affect. Now, maybe we could have scored a touchdown, but again, our chances of scoring touchdowns in the red zone is not great. So we made the field goal, and it was a longer field goal, and it was impressive.
That's why I said it's a good thing we made that field goal.
There.
If we miss that field goal, though, you feel different about it.
Correct.
You do.
So our the officiating conversation here, another thing everybody loves talking about it. Rule, once again, phenomenal communicator in the press conferences about the officiating, just talking about how it's the hardest job in the world, just want transparency with the calls, talked about how his unsportsmanlikes have been incorrect, that they have. Ryan Day, so we go back to that targeting call again. Whether you think it's targeting or not, I don't know. Husker fans are going to say, of course it was. Ohio State fans are pissed. Ryan Day takes off his headset, and I don't think he throws it, but basically acts like he spikes it, right? They just give him a sideline warning. Rules maybe did throw his, so he gets the sportsmanlike previous game. Just in general with the officiating, my mind doesn't change on it. There are poor calls. It is hard. There's video reviews on everything. This might be an interesting take. I don't know that I'm going to say this. I don't know they're getting paid enough. And my take behind that, these officials in any level, right? If you're talking about high school level, youth stuff is a whole nother level. Those are, sometimes more volunteers, lower paying jobs, but it's harder to find officials at the high school level even now. You can't tell me it doesn't trickle up to the college level. And guys getting paid, I'm not sure what they get paid. Let's just call it a couple of grand for a game. You want to do a good job. You're trying to do a good job. But a lot of these guys, if I had to guess, are not full-time officials. That's not their full-time job.
I think most of them are lawyers, aren't they?
A lot of them do other things. Yep. And I get it. People are going to say, pay officials more. Well, guess what? If you pay them enough for it to become their full-time job, now you're allowed to really focus on the game, the rules, watch a lot more film than they are. They watch a lot of film already. It's not like they just go into a game blind. They have so much more time, and they maybe even have time. You have the opportunity to get more guys in the box in the command centers to where you can get more calls right. The NFL is getting better at getting calls right. Because there are going to be calls that are missed. I've always said this with review. It sucks. The more and more that we allow them to manipulate the game, it makes the officials worse and worse. And it makes the officials want to ref worse and worse. So now your good officials are saying, well, I'm not doing this crap because all I'm going to do is get ridiculed. Part of that's yes, but it is your job, right? It's still their job to do it, right? So I also get that side of it. But if you're not getting paid enough to do it, you're going to say, well, F it. I don't really care. So you pay them more. Now, just like college athletes, the more they get paid, the more right you have to criticize them. Same thing with officials. If you put more time into it, it becomes your full-time job. It's a big part of the game. So that's my take on it right now. That's how I feel on it is, yeah, I get they're going to miss calls and it's a hard job. And maybe even I've always liked this thing, get the officials out in front of a microphone after the game and just be transparent with the stuff that they may have missed and how they saw certain things. I don't think they should do that now the way they get paid. But if you make it a more of a professional job with heavier contracts and more publicized, then yeah, it's a little bit more about them, which people probably don't want to see, but people are making it about them anyways. So that's my little rant on officials right now after this game.
It is surprising. I looked up Big Ten refs make between 2,000 and 3,000 a game, which is lower than I thought.
Yeah, that's way lower.
Okay, it's like one day of work. So maybe it's not an unreasonable amount, but I see what you're saying. More money attracts better talent. I do like how the NBA does the 2-minute report. It's like, hey, these are the calls we missed. That's it. That's all we're going to, it doesn't change anything, but we're just like, we also got this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I like that the Big Ten came out and they're like, yeah, we did. We messed up. We understand that it's going to happen.
See, we do
not pretend like it doesn't.
We do understand it happens, but some people can't get their heads to that point. They say, well, yeah, you messed up, but you can't mess it up. That's your job. You can't mess it up in this big of a game. And yeah, you're admitting it, but that doesn't solve. Some people have that mindset, and that's what's so hard about it all. Like, some people think officiating is getting worse and worse year after year. I'm not going to say that's incorrect.
I don't know. I think it's just TV and camera angles are better. Dak, your Vikings.
See, I was just going to – here we go again. Okay, yeah, so here's one argument against paying him more. What happened Thursday night? The high school – anyone with eyes could see that it was a face mask, and it was an NFL game. They missed it, ended the game right there. So, I don't know. I just think –
So okay, let's break down a play like that. Why does that call get missed?
Because the ref's behind them.
Okay, there's one ref, maybe two, maybe they did not get paid off. There's one ref, maybe two watching that on the field live. So how can you fix that? Well, here's a solution.
Sky judge.
Well, you add more refs, add 5 more refs in the field. Like, you're paying more. Another thing is, a call gets missed like that, maybe because of their maybe training. I don't know. Another thing, have a system where that can get corrected in the moment from someone that's watching it on the TV. Have a way to do that.
Sky judge. That's they did that in the UFL, and I thought it was pretty.
Don't they have that?
I don't know if they do.
They do.
I know NFL does.
I think NFL has 8 officials in the field. I could be wrong. Maybe college does too. I'm just saying, calls get missed. They're going to get missed. And I will 100% say, until someone tells me there's a paying off in officials, never, ever, 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 ever are officials trying to screw a team over. Ever. No matter how bad you think one side can be in any game, that's never the case. Ever. So, and Dak's just laughing because I think he disagrees. That's not, they have no hidden agendas behind any of it. Officials.
No sky judge in the NFL.
Oh, you said sky judge. They said side judge. Sky judge.
No, sky judge.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the expedited reviews where they call, they don't got to go to the camera anymore. They can they call it in and see what they say. Make quicker.
They do have that.
But why can't you do that for calls?
I agree. I think that's a solution that we hopefully will get to in some of these things, but it's just hard because as a fan, you don't want refs, and it's both ways. It's not, again, look at the Ohio State Nebraska game. It's not, everything was not one-sided. As much as fan bases want to say that, I guarantee you, if you listen to Ohio State podcast, they are over there complaining about officials just like Nebraska fans are. Yep. It's just it's just the society we live in. So that's my argument for paying them more to get. And I say paying them more as a group for a game. That might not be paying an individual more, but pay 5 more guys to be out there so you can't miss a face mask. Or you have 2 angles on a pass interference to where you can now meet and discuss and say, what you saw, that's not it. Or have 3 guys up in a booth and pay 3 of them to be like a committee. So when you get an instant review on an offensive pass interference, you can say, nope, I get what maybe you saw, but that's not right. Have a system in place to get the calls right if we're going to allow video review. If not, then don't allow it at all in any sport, and I know people aren't going to say that's the way to go, and let the officials do it on the field, knowing that there's going to be missed calls. Right now, it is so much up in the air. It's hard. It's hard to listen to fans talk about it because I just think fans are so wrong in thinking that these officials suck. They hate my team. No, they don't. They don't.
I'm going to bring up that Nair plate. So that was 100% pass interference. How do you, as a ref, what are you looking at? Like
That's
the
what I'm
ball is
saying.
going.
That's what I'm saying, though. They might not have the angle. Their training might not be good enough because they're doing it on a part-time basis. You don't know how you miss that. You don't know. We're seeing 5 different angles on the TV that makes it pretty obvious. As a ref on the field, if you're standing behind and your job is to quote unquote get in the correct position to make the call, they might not have had the angle to see it. And if only one guy is on that play, they missed it. And what do you do about that? Since we have the cameras and technology, freaking use it. Like don't just put it all on one guy and say that guy's an idiot. That guy sucks at his job. Like if he didn't intentionally not call that pass interference because he thought Nebraska would be getting a favor, he didn't do that.
Yeah, no, he just missed it. But
He missed it.
I do think at least throw it in the fourth quarter that you can call down and say, hey, you missed a call. Because that's you can end the game like in the fourth quarter and stuff. Maybe not the whole game, because the reason people don't want to do that is because they don't want to. They think it'll take the game way too long.
See, but then fans got to
cut the
fans
commercials.
and entertainers have to make a mindset on it. If they complain about the game taking too long, but then they can't complain about the rest. It's a give one, take one.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to get the call right, then give them the opportunity to get the call right. Then don't complain about calls that they miss because they just miss. Okay, enough officiating talk. Fun to rant on it, but we have not talked about our defense and how well of a job they did against Ohio State. So Ohio State, would you believe it? Their total offensive yards this game was as much as Indiana had in the first half a week and a half ago.
Wild.
Our defense came out to play. They were on a mission from the get-go against very, very talented receivers, running backs. Will Howard.
We made Ohio State's offensive line look bad. I mean, honestly.
It was impressive. Lowest point total we've held them to all year. They basically moved the ball on 3 big plays that because they just had faster, better receivers, they were able to score on. And credit to Ohio State for doing that. But wow, like great job, Tony White, defense. The front line did their job again after Indiana. It was questioning everything. It was impressive.
So Jamari Butler stood out. I'd say Hutmacher stood out.
The hard luck pick, I agree.
Pick.
As he caught it, it was like, please score, please score, please score. And then
He's moving.
We didn't score, and then all of a sudden you're like, we're not going to score, and we didn't. Yep.
Which you got to think one reason why they came out their hair on fire is because of all week they just heard how bad they were.
Because
it motivates you as a defense.
They were dog shit.
Yeah.
They were.
And I think they're obviously a lot better than they were in Indiana. So the whole week you just hear about how bad you were and you got embarrassed. I think your defense quit in that game too. But and I'm sure in practice that whole week they didn't. I'm guaranteed Tony White didn't take it easy on him.
He said midweek how pissed the guys were. I mean, they were mad at themselves for how they played. And you can call it schematics. You can call it just getting outplayed. I mean, it was what it was. And then this game, they showed up and said, it's not happening. And they did a great job. Now, here's what is upsetting still. We played so well the entire pretty much game, but second half specifically. And the third quarter, we just dominated them. Like, I don't have the drive chart in front of me, but it was like 3 and out, maybe 1 first down, punt, the pick.
Interception,
we dominated them. But the one drive, we go up 17-14. The one drive that all you guys say, we just need one stop to get the ball back. We need at least one stop. Goal. What?
You at least just want to hold the field goal.
I don't. Whatever. We played so well the second half. They weren't moving the ball at all. The one drive we needed to, they put together a methodical drive down the field, score a touchdown to go up 21-17, and that's the part that bugs me still. Again, you expect to win. You play so well, and yeah, you don't think you're ever going to shut out Ohio State in a half. Like, you never thought that was going to happen, but we played well enough to do it. We did. We had such the right game plan, and they were booing their offense, Ohio State fans, over and over. You could hear the boos on the TV. We just needed the one stop, and we couldn't do it. So as well as they played, my mind still gets hung up on that is, you get that stop defense, you win us that game. Now, should our defense have to hold an opponent to 14 points to win a game? No. But we had the opportunity to seal the deal by stopping them on that last drive there, and we didn't do it.
My neighbors, can you hear my neighbor sawing on the podcast?
No.
Wow. Shout out. It's really loud over here. I thought for sure you guys were going to say something, but no, it's good. No, I agree. Like I said, they played well enough that there's not a lot to say, but yeah, that last drive, it's like we just couldn't get done. I don't know if Malcolm being hurt and changed it. I don't know what was different on that last one, but they were really good. I mean, Ohio State has like 5-star linemen across the board, and we manhandled them the second half.
You know, our linebackers played well, I thought.
Yeah, I said Jamar Butler is so good.
I thought we had the right strategy we played a lot of man-to-man coverage again on the outside, like Indiana, and I think the bold thing is they have 5-star athletes out there, and they did exploit us a couple of times, but we still said we're going to stop the run first, and I think that's so important in the Big Ten, no matter who you're playing, and we did a damn good job of that. They have 2 very, very talented backs, and our front 7 did a great job of containing both Henderson and Judkins. Any other defensive thoughts?
You controlled the line on defensive and offensive line side, I would say. And going in that game, if you gave me the odds on who would have the better offensive defensive line, Nebraska or Ohio State going in the game at plus 5,000, I would not have taken it. So
I agree.
Last thing I want to mention here too, again, Rule, phenomenal communicator, has always been. You started to question if some of those things maybe how are they impacting the players and all of that. Said some good things again this week, talking just about key mistakes. And then the big thing here this week that I think came out, which is interesting, is the word championship mindset. And he talked about how he thought that was coming, or that came to life here against Ohio State. The other quote, there's no moral victories, but he's very proud in the way that this game went. He wants everybody to see the true picture of what we're building here. And it wants to have championship caliber expectations. Again, all quotes that Rule's saying here. I like it. I think that's a way to get things hopefully sparked from this game. It's consistency and sustainability with it, though. And when you take a step back, those comments look like, what in the world are you talking about, dude? But you play well like that and you have that mindset week after week, you're going to be in a good spot to win every week. We did not have that mindset at all in the Indiana game. Again, back to confusing. No idea why that happened the way it did. Illinois game wasn't there. After the Colorado game, you felt that. So it's not as simple as when you win or play well that you have that mindset, and when you don't, you don't. But that's what they're building towards, is in the locker room. And he said it without, and you knew he could tell the way he was saying it at the beginning, because he like paused several times. He didn't want to put things back and bash the previous coaching staff. So he was very like careful with it and saying that these guys under Frost, like some of these older guys, don't know how to win. But at the same time, he said, we're getting to the point where these guys need to develop, or are getting to develop, a championship mindset in the locker room about a game. Again, Indiana game, This game, they expected to win. The whole team did. And we didn't do it. So that's why he said he's proud. But there are still a lot of mistakes that we talked about on this podcast. We should have won that game. As weird as that sounds, we should have beat Ohio State if you play just a little bit better, make a couple more plays. And we win that game, and it's a statement win for Nebraska football at this point in Rule's tenure. But we didn't do it. So I think he just continues to do a tremendous job of communicating that stuff. A lot less question marks this week, obviously, with the way the game went.
Yeah, I agree.
Dak,
What?
you just stared with a blank face.
No,
He
I-
agrees.
I said I need to say about defense. We'll see if they back it up.
He was
You don't
listening to
play
him,
you don't
please,
play juggernaut offenses coming up here. We'll just say that.
Yeah,
Your rival just benched their quarterback, so
probably.
their 500 or $5 million quarterback, whatever they paid him, he's benched.
Okay, last thing, Survivor Pool. We are done for college football, but since we all watch NBA, and we thought we'd try something a little bit new here, where we're doing an NBA Survivor Pool. So you're going to get to pick one game for the entire week. If they win, you're good. You can't use the same team twice, just like regular Survivor Pools. We'll go through Sunday's game, so you can go from Monday through Sunday. Dak, I'll start with you. Who do you like? Who you taking?
It's a pretty big game. Friday night at 6:00. I'm taking the Celtics to beat the Hornets.
Celtics week 1.
So right off the bat,
Exact move.
not changing my strategy up at football at all.
Austin?
I think I'm going to go with Miami over Detroit tonight.
It's because of that D Wade statue, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why.
I like that. I actually was thinking of doing that. I'll be a little bit different. Same team, though, against them. I will take, on Wednesday night, I'll take the Sixers at home against Detroit.
Wow. No PG, no Embiid.
I think they'll still be okay.
Yeah, Detroit's pretty bad.
All right. That'll be it. We'll be back a couple days here. UCLA. Go Big Red.
GBR.
Boomer.